Good day, everyone. Good day, Sue. I, Daniel Thomas, and my group member, Pretty Daniran, have created this presentation on Chapter 5 of Exploring Leadership. We apologize for not being here to present it to you and hope you enjoy our presentation. There's something special about how other people live their lives, and it can often leave you wondering what's really going on behind the veil of the people you meet, whether briefly or in relationships you've had for years. Each person lives their life in similar ways, yet each experience we have is different. My group member and I have split Chapter 5 of Exploring Leadership into two parts and will be sharing our understanding of the book with you today. In this vast world, it is not uncommon to run into others who share similarities with you. In fact, you may find more people who are similar to you rather than not. Whether it is by gender, age, the color of your hair or skin, or even the way you dress, if you look around you, you will surely find someone who looks like you. However, just because they look like you, it does not mean they are you, as they can become a completely different person on the inside. As the author goes on to explain, in any group setting, you can look around and see others who look like you. This means there will always be something connecting you to another person in every group you enter. An example of this would be the way two completely different classmates can bond over the love of the same TV show. In this case, they were two individuals from the same group, the class, that found common ground over a specific interest. Finding common ground with another person can greatly help the way you understand that person. By finding that common interest, they can feel brave enough to share new interests with one another, eventually leading to a better understanding of not only the other person, but also yourself, as this person teaches you new things you now get to learn. After understanding another person, you're left to wonder how they see you, which can be a challenge in itself. By meeting with others, understanding and looking objectively, you soon come to realize that you have become a pluralistic leader, a person who can work with several types of persons in order to achieve a common goal. Understanding gender diversity. Gender and sex. These two terms are frequently used in place of the other, but can mean different things when you take a moment to really understand each term. Each person is born and immediately identified as either male or female, from their external organs to their internal ones. This is the sex they are born with and will remain with their entire lives. If someone was born with organs associated with childbirth and so on, they are considered female and vice versa. How, Gender, however, can be better described as how masculine or feminine a person is. What exactly makes a person masculine or feminine? That is entirely based on societal norms. It is often said that the role of a female is to nurture and care for others because they are weaker, therefore, raising men as natural leaders. However, when a man cannot exhibit the strengths of what the society around him thinks he should have, he can be seen as more feminine and unworthy to be a man, much like when women abandon the nurturing role she was meant to put on, she can be seen as more manly. This is all due to men and women having a disability in each other's fields. The way women and men operate can be explained if you track back to their childhoods. The way boys may play fight while girls sit and talk, to the toys they are given and the expectations of society. Boys act like boys and girls act like girls. This also follows the mentality and not just personality or appearance. Many women tend to internalize their mistakes and thank others for their success, while men thank themselves for success and blame others for their failures. This tends to be the reason men and women go well together, as they both need to learn from the other person's strong suits. The way men and women act shows both their individuality and their compatibility. Understanding cultural diversity. Culture is seen as the way a person talks, thinks, and walks in a particular group. It is something so integrated into our minds that we don't even realize we act and think according to our respective cultures. Each group we attach ourselves to has its own culture, and some groups may even have several different cultures that coincide together. Therefore, culture can be anything from schools and workplaces to groups that are exclusively for one type of gender or otherwise. To be an effective leader, studying the different cultures of the people you wish to lead is a must. A great leader must understand and appreciate each culture to build inclusiveness, collaboration, and common purpose, according to the author. Culture is something that many people view as being different in a person's race or ethnicity and has led to spikes of racism worldwide. The relational leadership model sets out to destroy this, however, by implementing practices of inclusiveness. The author writes that they believe the world will be made better when everyone feels seen, heard, and valued for their contributions. Understanding international diversity. Humans are very complicated creatures, but even more so when they come from a completely different land. However rewarding it may be, understanding these persons can become a task in itself, as one must learn new cultures and behaviors. The author mentions that the college experience may be one of the best ways to learn about international diversity. As a leader, one must study just how similar and different each culture is, act appropriately, and respect each culture and find a way to connect everybody to meet a common goal. I will now be handing you off to my group member, Pretty Daniram, for the rest of the presentation.
This is Ram, and I'll be continuing from where Daniel Thomas left off for Chapter 5, Building Multicultural Appreciation. So one of the key aspects of leadership is the ability to appreciate and respect cultural differences. So being open to different cultural perspectives allows leadership to build stronger and more cohesive teams. So Mr. Peterson, he would have emphasized that leaders must develop three critical components, which is awareness, knowledge, and skills in multicultural leadership. So, awareness means recognizing that diversity exists and that our assumptions may not always be correct. Knowledge involves learning about different cultural traditions, their values, and their customs. Skills refer to the ability to adapt and communicate effectively in diverse environments. So Mr. Hoops developed a model explaining how people move from ethnocentrism, which is the belief that one's own culture is superior, to a multicultural mindset where they appreciate and integrate diverse perspectives in their leadership approach. So we have hopes as well as the attitudes towards differences, the riddle scale. So ethnocentrism is the initial stage where individuals believe their own culture is the best or most normal. They may be unaware of other cultures, viewing them as inferior or even strange. So at this stage, people may struggle to connect with individuals from different cultural backgrounds. Then we have awareness. So at this stage, individuals start to recognize that there are other cultures with different traditions, even with different beliefs and practices. However, their understanding is still limited and they may not fully appreciate the values of these differences. So this is the first step towards breaking out of ethnocentrism. Then we have understanding. So in this phase, individuals actively seek to learn about cultural differences. So in a rational and intellectual manner, more likely. So they may study different cultures, they may read about them or engage in discussions, but their understanding remains somewhat detached, more of an academic curiosity rather than a personal engagement. So moving on to acceptance. So at this stage, people begin to acknowledge the validity of other cultural perspectives without necessarily agreeing with them. So they develop a live and let it live attitude, show tolerance for cultural diversity. However, they may still view other cultures as separate from their own rather than embracing them. So appreciation. In this stage, individuals recognize and appreciate the strengths and unique qualities of other cultures. Rather than just tolerating them or tolerating their differences, they start to see the benefits that cultural diversity brings to personal growth. It also brings it to workplace innovations and social harmony. Selective adoption. So here individuals begin to integrate aspects of other cultures into their own way of thinking, behaving, or decision making. So they pick and choose cultural traits or values that resonate with them. Also, incorporating them into their lives while still maintaining their cultural identity. Then we reach multiculturalism. So at this stage, it's an ongoing process where individuals feel entirely comfortable navigating and interacting with multiple cultures. They are adaptable and open-minded. They are able to communicate effectively across cultural boundaries and appreciate diversity in an enriching aspects of life. As well, their identity transcends a single cultural perspective, making them truly global citizens. Understanding this process helps leaders, educators, and team members to navigate multicultural environments successfully. So the goal for any inclusive leader should be to reach the highest stage of appreciation, selective adoption, and multiculturalism. In order to foster more effective and meaningful cross-cultural interactions, these stages should be reached. So moving on to attitudes towards differences. So the riddle scale helps us to reflect on how we perceive differences in others. So some people have negative attitudes towards diversity, often rooted in fear or lack of exposure. So at the lowest level, there is repulsion, which involves outright rejection of different cultures, seeing them as strange or unacceptable. Then we have pity, which means you're feeling sorry for who are different, but it still implies a belief that they are inferior in some way. Also, tolerance and acceptance acknowledge differences, but they do not necessarily celebrate them. So, on the positive end, support means actively advocating for others, while admiration involves recognizing the strengths diversity brings. So, appreciation takes this further by valuing differences, and nurturance is the highest level where we fully embrace and promote inclusivity. Moving on to cultural influences on leadership behaviors. So, culture plays a significant role in shaping leadership styles. Different cultures have different expectations for leaders. Some cultures prefer hierarchical leadership, where decisions come from the top down, while others value participative leadership, where team inputs are essential. It's important to recognize that even within a single organization, there are different diverse cultural influences. So no group is completely homogeneous. Leaders must be mindful of this when making decisions and interacting with team members. So a great example of cultural influence on leadership is how businesses in Japan and the US differ. So in Japan, there is an emphasis on harmony and group consensus, while in the US, individual decision making and assertiveness are valued. Understanding these differences can help leaders navigate diverse work environments more effectively. So we have some cultural influences in such leadership process includes communication, conflict resolution, and decision making, right? So if we look at communication, effective communication is essential in leadership, especially in diverse environments. So communication styles can differ greatly between cultures. For example, some cultures, such as Germany and the US, value direct and straightforward speech. Others, such as Japan and India, may favor indirect communication to maintain harmony. Nonverbal communication also varies. So if we look at something like eye contact, eye contact is seen as confident in one culture, but it may be rude in another. Likewise, gestures that seem harmless in one culture can carry different meaning elsewhere. So additionally, individuals from they form speech communities based on shared language norms, which can sometimes create barriers between groups. Leaders must be mindful of these differences and adjust their communication style to foster inclusivity and mutual understanding. So, conflict is inevitable in leadership, but how it is handled depends largely on cultural backgrounds. So, some cultures, such as the US or Germany, encourage direct confrontation, seeing it as a way to resolve issues quickly. Other cultures, such as those in China or many Latin American countries, may avoid direct confrontations to maintain group harmony. So, as in like the US or Germany, people rather have one on one meetings, whereas in China or Latin America countries, they may rather send an email or maybe take it up with HR. So, as leaders, it is crucial to respect these cultural differences when managing conflicts. So, for example, in a diverse team, one person may prefer discussing an issue openly in a meeting, while others may feel more comfortable addressing it privately. Leaders should adapt their conflict resolution strategies to fit their cultural expectations of their team members, ensuring that all voices are heard and respected. So, decision making. Different cultures approach different decision making in unique ways. So, in Western cultures, particularly in the US, decision making often follows a majority rule approach where the most votes win. In contrast to like many Eastern cultures, such as Japan, they prefer consensus-based decision making, ensuring that everyone agrees before moving forward. So additionally, leadership styles affect decision making. Some organizations rely on hierarchical decision making where top leaders make all the major choices, while others embrace participatory decision making where input is gathered from various levels of organization. So as leaders, we need to be able to recognize which approach or which decision making style helps us or which suits our team, ensuring that diverse perspectives are included and it eventually leads to better outcomes and greater team engagement. So now we move on to leadership and empathetic communication. So one of the most valuable leadership skills is the ability to listen actively and with empathy. Active listening involves not only hearing the words from being spoken, but also understanding the emotions and perspective behind them. Empathy in leadership means placing yourself in someone else's shoes. Instead of judging or dismissing different viewpoints, empathetic leaders seek to understand what others are experiencing. So, this is especially important in diverse teams where different cultural backgrounds influence communication and behavior. Rational empathy fosters stronger, more inclusive teams. So, this goes beyond simple understanding. It creates meaningful connections and fosters trust among team members. So, by practicing empathetic communication, leaders can create an inclusive environment where everyone feels valued. So, in conclusion, understanding others is a critical component of effective leadership. Cultural awareness, strong communication skills, and empathy all plays a specific roles in how we interact with our team. So by recognizing and appreciating cultural diversity, leaders can improve teamwork, they can enhance decision making, they can resolve conflicts more effectively, and so forth. We should all strive to move beyond mere tolerance and work towards genuine appreciation and include like different perspectives. So I challenge each of you to reflect on what we discussed today and think about how you can apply these principles in our leadership roles. How can you foster a more inclusive, culturally aware, and empathetic leadership style? The ability to understand others, be understood by others, and together create an effective organizational or group environment. It is challenging of relational leadership. So, truly understanding the influences of our cultural heritage, our gender, and other aspects of our differences helps us to work together towards change. We usually find we are more alike than we are different. Expecting commonalities, goodwill, and shared purposes can become a self fulfilling prophecy. So, this awareness helps us to create a third new culture in any group. So, thank you all for having a listening ear um, with regards to chapter 5 and this presentation. I look forward to answering any questions you all may have. Feel free to contact me via my work email. I do apologize for not being here for class, but I look forward to seeing and talking with you guys in the next meeting. Thank you.